how do you make your event more profitable? If you're running a conference, if you're doing workshops, in-person summits, anytime that you are on stage with your audience, you have to make a profit. And we work with a ton of different events. I scaled my conference to be the largest in the country in my industry. And we work with conferences in many, many different industries, niches, all over the place. And the most consistent thing that I see is events are not maximizing the revenue they can produce with the event because they just don't understand that there are options out there for things that they can do, and everybody's just kind of stuck doing the same thing over and over and over again. So in this video, I'm going to break down the revenue triad. There's 3 components to this, and I'll be walking you through what you can do with your conference, with your workshop, to boost that revenue and drive more sales and back end. All right, so let's get started here. So this is called the revenue triad, because with events, there's really 3 revenue streams that we can use to bring that money into us. Okay, so we've got the front end here, so we can sell tickets, we can do sponsorship, and then we can do back end. Now, on the surface, it's like, okay, well, this makes a whole lot of sense, but the devil's in the details. Like how you actually generate that revenue matters a lot. So let's start with ticket sales. Okay, so I was actually just on a call. A lot of events are pricing their events the wrong way, and there's a couple different spectrums to this. So number one, a lot of events are underpricing, significantly underpricing. I was just actually on a call with a past client of ours, and we were talking about ticket pricing and the effect it can have on the audience. So let's say you are running an event for business owners, right? So you're dealing with management, C-suite founders. If you go out and offer a $200, $300, $500 ticket for an event like that, for that audience over a 2-day event, and you're charging a couple $100, that's not sending the right message. That's probably going to repel the people you actually want to show up. But if you're charging $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, $5,000 a ticket for a high-end, high-level event like that, now you're communicating the value you're presenting, and you're not going to give your prospects that spidey sense, ooh, this isn't lining up. They're saying it's for super high-level people like me, but they're only charging a couple $100. There's a disconnect. Okay, so there's that, and that's going to hurt you on the sales side, the volume of tickets you're selling. But more importantly, it's going to hurt you when it comes to bringing that revenue in and being able to go back out and send with your ads and getting more people back in. Because here's the thing, right? If we are going to attract a cold audience who has no idea who you are, right? That's the power of events. If you just keep hitting your list, your current customers with, hey, come to my event over and over and over again, you're not growing your base. You're on that hamster wheel of offer creation. Everybody's heard it before. You're going to actually find that your audience decreases. The key with scaling events is you want to bring in fresh people, fresh blood, new people who are brand new to you. That's what we want. And in order to do that, we have to put our ads, put our event in front of that cold audience. Now, that costs money to do. So if you're running a low ticket event and you're charging a couple $100, you've got fulfillment costs to run the event. You're basically going into that event in the hole. That's not what you want to do. You actually want to structure your ticket pricing number one, so you're communicating value to your audience and everything's adding up in their mind. But number two, you want to make sure that you're going into your event at a profit, so you're not in the hole. Honestly, if you're charging a couple $100 and you're, for that business example, the math just doesn't add up. There's no way you can bring in cold people at scale. We're talking 500, 1,000, 15, 2,000 people at scale into that event with that ticket pricing structure. It just doesn't work. So one of the things you actually want to do is you want to employ Goldilocks pricing. Because in any audience, so let's say this is your audience of your event, you're going to have your top 5%. I hope that's 5%. This is your top 5%. They are the cream of the crop of your audience. They've got the means that they're the most successful. So if you're running a business conference, these are the people who are running high-end operations. They're generating significant revenue. They're at the top of their game. That's 5%. Then we've probably got another 15% of your audience who are good. They're kind of in the middle a little bit. And then you've got the 80% of the audience, which is going to make up of the bulk of the people in the room, and they're your general population. Okay. Now that could be general population of business owners. That could be general population of real estate investors. That could be general population of authors. That could be healthcare professionals, whatever it is. But in every audience, you've got your cream of the crop. Then you've got your second tier, and then you've got the general population of whatever that avatar is. What we want to do is we want to create ticket tier experiences specific to these levels in your audience. Why? Well, number one, it allows us to segment our audience and provide solutions and service and experiences that will actually help and benefit them when they're at the event. It identifies the people at their levels, so that way if you're offering products or services, you know which ones apply to that group. And then number three, it allows your audience to dictate and choose what level of experience they want. Because what happens with a lot of events is, they'll have one ticket level. Hey, I'm just I'm charging $1,000 for my 3-day workshop. That's great. But I can guarantee you, if you offered another ticket tier on top of that, call it premium, VIP, whatever it is. If you offer a ticket tier on top and give extra content above and beyond what you're already doing, if you're giving additional experiences, just extra things, there is a portion, generally 15 to 20% of your audience, who will pay that money because they want that. It's premium shoppers. If I want a suit, I'm going to a bespoke tailor. I'm paying a premium, but I like wearing nice suits. There's also people who go to Moores, Tip Top Tailors, just regular off the rack suits. That's fine. Same thing applies to your audience. There's people in there that 15 to 20%, that's that Pareto principle that works, the 80-20 rule, that want a premium experience and they will pay for it. So number one, like I said, you're identifying those people and you're also allowing those people to choose what they want. So they're actually going to be happier. And then you're driving additional revenue. So if you have a ticket price at $1,000 and another one at $1,500, and you're adding extra content, the cost on your end, the hard cost of the event is what it is. You're not increasing the cost of the event by providing extra access to some speakers or extra content. Your cost doesn't increase, but now you're generating extra revenue that can come back in, and you can put that into your ads to bring in more fresh blood. That's what we're looking to do with ticket sales. But most events, they have their pricing wrong. Right now, we've got a number of clients where we're reworking and breaking apart their past ticket pricing structures. And we're working on this specifically to make sure we're identifying the right people and providing the experience they want. So if you're running a conference or a workshop and you're looking for help with this type of stuff, this is what we do. Go to theconferenceaccelerator.com. We've got a video, it breaks it down. You can book a call with our team and we'll walk you through the stuff once we learn about your conference, your workshop, and what you're trying to do with it. All right, so that's for tickets. For sponsorship is one of my pet peeves. So what most people do, you go to any golf tournament, but what most people do is they'll have 3 tiers. They'll have a gold, they'll have a silver, and they'll have a bronze ticket tier. Everybody does this. The problem with this is you are not maximizing your revenue per sponsor, but even more important than that is you're just providing a set menu, an a la carte menu for sponsors, and they're going to get a standard a la carte experience. They are not it's a prefix. What I meant prefix. So, you show up to the restaurant and this is what you're getting. That's what most people do. What you want is you want to have somebody be able to choose and customize exactly what they're going to do, and they will pay more for it. Going back to the suit example, if I buy a suit off the rack, it's going to cost me a couple $100, right? But if I go to a custom bespoke tailor and we're going back for 3 fittings and like everything's custom, I got to choose everything, I am paying a significant premium. Now, the benefit to me is I get a suit that fits like a glove. So I'm willing to pay more for that in exchange for the fit. Sponsors will do the same thing. If you are able to create a custom sponsorship opportunity for them that gets them exactly what they're looking for, exactly who they're looking to target, the exact type of interaction, the activation that they're looking for, they will pay a premium. But if you're just offering gold, silver, bronze packages like that charity golf tournament down the street, you are not selling sponsorship at a high level. You are not, and you are leaving significant money on the table. So, one of the things I learned very quickly when I launched my conference is you can't do the menu pricing with events and expect to maximize the revenue, but also make sure that your sponsors are happy. Because if they just have to choose off the menu, worst thing you want to do. And then even worse than that is when you just cold email people and send them the sponsorship menu to order from, and you wonder why nobody's getting back to you or they're interested. That is the worst way to do sponsorship, and it drives me nuts. So one of the other things we do is we actually help conferences and workshops, their sponsorship teams. We help rework their outbound outreach. We work on their systems, the scripts they're using, their call processes, how they're actually pitching the sponsorship opportunities, because there is so much money being left on the table just by sloppy sponsorship sales, sloppy outreach. Because if you're emailing your deck cold to people, you're like, oh, well, nobody cares about my event. Well, of course not, because you're just why would they want to talk to you if you've already given them everything they need to make a decision? Like that's not how you do sponsorship at a high level. So we've talked about ticket sales. We need to create Goldilocks pricing and focus on the experience. Sponsorship, get rid of gold, silver, bronze, right? That is the worst possible thing you can do. Now let's talk about back end, because we've had some of our clients crush some monster numbers. We're talking multiple 7 figures in back end sales, crushing their back end. So, but a lot goes into setting up your back end so you can have those $1 million days. Because one of the things we do is, we turn conferences and workshops into $1 million events. That's what we're looking to do. So number one, you have to make sure the right people are in the room. I don't care who it is. You could have 1,000 people in the room, but if they're not the avatar that aligns with your product or service or what you're offering, you're not going to sell anything. It's kind of like you fill a room with 1,000 Eskimos and then you're selling a freezer. It's not going to work. Okay. So what you want to do is you have to focus, number one, on your lead gen. And you have to make sure that you're getting your event and your messaging in front of the right people. But then you have to, so people, number one, so that's your audience. And then you have to make sure your copy is good. So I spent millions of dollars promoting and advertising my conference, a lot. So we've tested literally everything you could possibly consider testing. We have tested it. So we know, like, we give our clients our top copy because we've proven it works. So, our clients just basically take our copy and use it with their events with some minor tweaks. So you got to get in front of the right audience with your event. Then you have to have the right copy that speaks to them, that's going to get the right person to come into you. And then you have to make sure your creative is good. So we do the same thing with your creative. We track everything and we know what creative ends up with more sales, all of that type of stuff. That's on the lead gen side. You have to make sure you're generating the right lead. Now, once you have that, there's something in events called the missing 40. Okay. So here's the 40%. This is the 40% of ticket sales that most events lose out on. Why? The majority of events out there they will have somebody, they'll have a list, an email list. They'll have some people who inquired about it. And what they'll do is they will send emails and they'll have a drip sequence. I hear it all the time. Oh, Seth, well, we have a drip sequence. We have 7 emails we send out to people. And you wonder why nobody's buying a ticket. Because what happens is you'll have the people who are very enthused about the event. That's great. They'll buy a ticket. Now, the problem with that is most of them buy last minute. So we have to fix that. We have strategies around that. But this 40%, these are the people who are sitting on the fence. They saw your event, conference, workshop. They're like, oh, this is interesting. But they stay sitting on the fence because an email is not persuasive. An email is a passive way of selling. And if you're relying on passive methods, oh, I'm going to send retargeting ads to these people. Or I'm going to email them. I might send a text message once in a while. If you're just relying on that passive approach to get these 40% people, 40% of people off the fence, it's not going to work. You need to have somebody pick up the phone and actually talk to them like a real person. Because on the phone, you can discover what got them interested in the event in the first place. Why do they want to show up? What's the possible benefit for them? Once you can learn that, now you can, now you can explain how your event helps them, and then you could ask for the sale. And a lot of people, they just need that extra nudge to get over the fence. But that involves a back and forth conversation with a real person. Now, with my own event, what I found, and even with our clients too, we find that we've been able to increase ticket sales by 40% just by having somebody pick up the phone and call. So let me ask you this. If you're spending whatever it is, $1 million, $500,000, $1,000, $100,000, whatever it is on your event, and you're getting sales, what would the impact be is if you could increase that number by 40%? Your advertising becomes more efficient. Your cost per sale goes down. Your cost per lead comes, like you are able to expand your conference. And that is how, we went from 0 to 1,000 people, 2,500 people, and we've kept going. That is how you do it. If you're just relying on the passive approach, it doesn't work. So this is number one, we talked about lead gen. This is conversion. You have to know how to convert people to ticket sales. And the truth I've discovered is that ticket sales are the hardest sale I've ever had to make in my life. Hardest sale. I was selling paint, painting jobs to people with their house. I've sold real estate to people, like trying to get listings in a competitive. I've done high ticket selling, low ticket selling, everything in between. Ticket sales are the most challenging because there is a very specific way you want to run that call for tickets. You can't use a high ticket consultation approach. You can't use a low ticket, hey, just like click on this website. There's a specific way you want to run that call that's going to end up with more ticket sales. That's what you got to do. So that's on the conversion side. Okay. And then number 3 is that back end. So how do you actually set up your event so you are driving everybody to that offer? I have made a ton of mistakes with back end, a ton of mistakes. And the thing is, whenever you make a mistake like that, it hurts in the pocketbook and you never do it again. So with that, our clients, we had one, they did multi 7 figures at their 2-day event, multi 7 figures. They crushed it. Now they had good high ticket offers with a great audience in the room, deploying all of our strategies that we used. They crushed, absolutely crushed. Another client, so that they do like coaching consulting for healthcare professionals, crushed, turn their event around, increase profits by 20.14% in terms of their profit increase. Like this stuff works, but there's a system for it. If you don't have the system, if you're just guessing, if you're just hoping people buy your event tickets, if you're just hoping people will reply when you send them your sponsorship menu deck cold, if you're doing all of that stuff wrong, you don't have the system in place. And that's where we come in and we help you with it. So with your back-end offer, number 1, you have to make sure that your offer aligns well with the people in the audience. So you have to tailor that. Then you have to know, well, how are you actually going to deliver the offer? What type of sales support are you going to have at the event to help you? Because if you're making the offer on stage, you're going to need that supporting cast helping you out, your staff on site. These are the people rubbing shoulders with everybody at the event. How do you do that? How do you promote those conversations? How do you even message and spark things, spark convos at the event? There are very specific strategies that you can employ throughout the event to get additional information, get people to raise their hand before you even make an offer on stage. So you're set up, and that way your sales staff at the event are extremely targeted and they know exactly what they're doing, right? This is how you maximize back-end offers, right? So if I'm looking at an event and I want to increase the revenue, number one, I'm looking at tickets. What's the ticket revenue look like? What are the options? How are we selling the tickets? Because that's always a big one. Number two, sponsorship. What are our sponsorship options? What can we create? How are we doing outreach? How are we running those conversations? What's our close rate? What's everything involved with sponsorship? And then back end. What's the offer? What's the alignment? How are we making that offer? How are we making sure that we're maximizing the number of conversions there so we can help the audience with the problem they came to your event to solve? Because here's the thing. Events, people come to live events because they are solution focused. They are looking for a solution. It's not like a webinar. It's not like a free ebook where everybody's just dipping their toes in. If somebody shows up live to your event, they are looking to solve a problem. You just have to have the right solution and present it in a way that makes sense, and you can help them. That's how you drive revenue with events. So it doesn't matter if you're right now starting with a couple hundred people at your event, or you've got 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 people at your event. We want to start implementing these systems and strategies that work into your event so you stop making those mistakes, so you start using the right type of stuff, the right funnels, the right copy, the right ads, the right sponsorship decks, the right scripts, and the process for that. The back end, how we put that together. You want to start doing this right away. And then you can start having those $1 million days, just like our other clients. All right. So if you're interested in this, just go to theconferenceaccelerator.com, theconferenceaccelerator.com, set up a call. We've got our event specialist. We'll deep dive into your event. And at the end of the day, if it's a fit, great. If not, we're happy to give you some pointers, point you in the right direction, and add value to what you're doing. And you're going to walk away with that call with a lot more insight and clarity. All right, so check that out there. But yeah, you got to get this dialed in. Revenue triad, tickets, sponsorship, back end. I'll see you guys next week.